Well, thank you. What a build-up. It's lovely to see so many people here. You know, it does make me feel really encouraged. I think, you know, and I'm really hoping we're on the cusp of something here. What do we all think?
Yeah!
It does feel this is a good election. I think, as the BBC have been quick to remind me once or twice during this campaign, I have been around a bit and fought a few elections in these parts. And so these days I get described now as the veteran Liberal Democrat campaigner. And I suppose, well, the first time I stood for council in Cardiff was 31 years ago, so possibly the label is slightly justified. But, you know, we've had some great times and some not so great times in those last 31 years. And, you know, we heard about, you know, some of the great successes in the past and some of the people who represented us before. And what I want to do is, you know, is make sure that we can bring those great times back again. You know, in memory of people like Kenny Ranston or people like David Rees who worked so hard in this part of Cardiff for so many years, who helped me when I had the privilege of being council leader and the Liberal Democrats were the largest party on Cardiff Council for an 8-year period. So what we've got to do is we've got to get those good times back. But I'm hopeful that we are working incredibly hard in order to achieve that. And I feel that, you know, the signs are there that lead to do it. Now, you know, this campaign has certainly had some ups and downs so far, but I think it's generally felt very positive. And what I'm really encouraged about is that I think we're fighting the biggest campaign that we fought in Cardiff for many, many years now. You know, at least you'd have to go back probably about at least 10 years or something, you know, when we still had Jenny Willett as our MP, before you can look at the sort of level of campaigning that we're now doing, perhaps being matched. So, you know, we have upped our game. We're getting leaflets out, you know, to new territory, to bits of the city we haven't reached before. We're getting out there knocking doors in bits of the city we've never knocked before. And what we're getting is a lot of, you know, great recognition. And we can see that, you know, this campaign is working. So, you know, when Jane tells you that you need to do a bit more, what I'm here to tell you is it's worth it, it's working, so please do a bit more because that might make the difference to us getting over the line and not getting over the line. But I did say, you know, there's maybe been some ups and downs. I think possibly a low point I had recently was when this pretty not complimentary poll came out a few weeks ago. You know, all the polls up to then had said that we were going to win and we were going to win in this area. And then suddenly one poll comes out and says that actually we were at risk of being wiped out. And of course, I had to be the person that the Liberal Democrats had put up to try and respond to that on television that night. So that was interesting, but you know, I think I dealt with it. But I'm pleased to say, I was looking at social media today, there's a new poll out today, and it's got us back to winning again. So Jane and I will be hopeful that we are going to get into the next Senedd and Jane will be returned. And you know, once again, we're back to having a poll that says that we can win a seat here in Cardiff and Tal. But I think, you know, as has been stressed, this isn't something I can do on my own. This is something I need your help to achieve. And I'm so grateful to everybody that has been helping in the campaign so far. So whether that's been writing blue envelopes, whether that's been helping to bundle leaflets, whether that's been putting those leaflets through the letter boxes, whether that's been joining me on some of the door knocking sessions, or whether that's been getting the state boards up, they've started to appear now, and we'll be getting more and more of them coming up over the next few weeks as we try and turn this part of Cardiff, you know, a lovely shade of oranges. It used to be gold, but we've now gone a bit orange, but stay orange. But all of that is going to get us nearer to getting over the line. So, you know, I'm so grateful for all you've been doing, but please keep on doing more of it. We've only got, what, 5 or 6 weeks now, but I'm confident we can get there, but please, you know, join me in that journey. As I said, I've certainly seen some positive signs. I think, you know, one or two of the more interesting experiences I've had is, you know, I knocked the door, it's actually my own word kind of land, this was a couple of months ago, and this lady answered and she said, "You're a hero in our house." And she said, "No, it's terrible weather out there." I was asking her to sign my petition, which is we're campaigning to try to get the hospital rebuilt. She said, "Oh, bring it in because it was really terrible out that night. It was drizzling something chronic and all our petition sheets were turning into papier-mâché out. But while I'm chatting to her and going through my spiel and she's signing the petition, I get handed this autograph too. I have to say that the person handed it to me is some years off being of voting age, but it did encourage me that her little girl, was so enamored that she wanted my autograph, so I was happy to apply. And then just this week, I was out in Rubina, and that's not traditional territory for us. That's not an area where we've even had councillors in the past. We have fought it in council by-elections in the past, but we've never broken through it yet. But I was just out delivering some leaflets, and this lady comes up to me and says, "You are Rodney, aren't you?" This has been a very strange request, but she said, "She and her husband were big fans, and they've been getting all my leaflets through their letterbox and that. And then maybe mind posing for herself with her." So, when you get that sort of thing happening, I've been out in Land of North and people have come up and said, "Oh, we're glad to see you out. We remember that we were much better represented in this area when we had Liberal Democrat councillors. We'll be voting for you on May the 7th. You start to realise that, something is happening. We are picking up support in areas where we've maybe not had it before, or we've not had it for a number of years. So, things are genuinely moving for us in the right direction. What we got to do is we got to keep going. We had one bad poll, but all the rest of the polls have said we're okay. Let's keep going. Let's fight. As has been said, the more you can do to help, the more chance we've got of achieving that, whether that's giving us a financial donation, whether that's coming out and joining our sessions. I hope you're all seeing all the activities that we're doing. So if you're not, we've got a Facebook group you can join where we tell you all the times that we're going out campaigning. We've got WhatsApp groups that you can join where we can keep you updated. So please come and talk to me. We've got our staff here. Where's Lloyd? Give us a wave, Lloyd. When I work with Lloyd, if you want to come and help, he will sort you out. And if you live in Cardiff, Funantar, we'd also like to have your garden for a skateboard that we can have. Because the more we can display skateboards around the constituency, the more we can persuade other people that we can actually win here. It's very important. Adam here has a list of forms, so if you haven't given your permission to have one, please go and fill one of those in tonight. And magically, a nice poster on a stick will appear in your garden sometime in the next few weeks in a lovely shade of day blue. It's really going to make a difference. But I'm trying to think what else to say. I think, as I say, I'm feeling genuinely positive. I'm really enjoying this campaign. As I say, it's probably the biggest campaign we've done for such a long time. We have literally been knocking on thousands of doors at the moment. So we're out just about every day, sometimes twice a day, door knocking. It is very much all to play for, but it's a very interesting election. It's a very interesting time at the moment. I can't remember fighting an election before where both Labour and the Conservatives were in the doldrums. We've had elections where Labour have been in the doldrums, but not the Conservatives. We've had elections when the Conservatives have been in the doldrums, but not Labour. But never before both of them. And I even remember, was it the 2017 general election? That was the one when people were voting only Labour and Conservative, and all the other parties, including ourselves, were getting badly squeezed out. And yet, hasn't it all turned round? Politics over the last maybe 10, 15 years or something has been so much more volatile than it used to be, but that is our opportunity. And what we're finding going out there is that a lot of people just aren't sure how they're going to vote still. And it's mostly in this part of the world, it's mostly people that have been voting Labour for years. And they're feeling so let down by Keir Starmer. They're feeling so let down by a government that promised everything would be so much better, they were going to get change, and then they don't see any change, they just see more of the same disappointment they had with the Tories. And they don't know where to go. And they're slightly confused by this new electoral system as well. And that those are the people that are open to being persuaded. But in order to persuade them, we need to talk to more of them. And that's why, if you can help come out and join us and talk to people on the doors. We're not getting a negative perception at all, to be quite honest. We're actually getting a very positive perception. And in a strong track record, we're getting a very positive reception. But we're talking to a lot of people who have been voting Labour in recent elections and they're just not quite sure where to go. And they are considering us, but they may be considering Pride, they may be considering Greens. But we can get across to them that in this part of Cardiff, they really need to vote for us, particularly if they're worried about the threat of reform, and a lot of those people are. Because we traditionally have been a much stronger party in this part of Cardiff. Clyde and the Greens don't have a single councillor in Cardiff and the Lib Dems are the main opposition to Labour on the council in this part of the constituency and Cardiff as a whole. So we've got a strong story to tell, and when we tell them that, and when we tell them how, particularly in Cardiff East, how we were in second place at the last general election, if it's what was the old Cardiff Central, but we were also in second place at the last Senedd election, and the fact that we are in second place when it comes to the number of councillors, we're bringing a lot of these people our way. And of course, it's strange, isn't it? Because we haven't really fought an election under this electoral system either. So this business about the fact that we think we need to get 12.5% roughly across the whole of North and East Cardiff, and that will be enough to get us a seat. But it's not an exact science, because it slightly also depends on how the votes fall with the other parties. 12.5% might be enough, but it might not be enough depending on what happens elsewhere, and that's why sometimes the polls are showing different results. But what we are thinking is that we're thinking we are already tracking above that, but we need to get a little bit higher still to be in safe territory. But I'm determined to work my socks off, as was said, and carry on doing so for the next 5 to 6 weeks until we get there. I'll probably collapse in a heap on May the 8th, I'll warn you that. I'm hoping though, I might have things to do on May the 8th, so keep going, keep fighting, keep joining me, and let's deliver together. Diolch yn fawr.